G'day, welcome. It's been a little while since I've done one of these longer form videos, but I'm really pleased today to present a conversation that I had with Maya Tesa. Maya's the independent libertarian candidate running in the upcoming Aston by-election. It's on the 1st of April. It's not a secret to Maya. I was pretty straight up with her. She knows that I'm a member of the Labor Party. She knows that I'll be advocating people vote One Labor on the 1st of April. Having said that, it was really courageous of her to come and talk to someone that she knew disagreed with her. It could have been a hostile environment. I tried to give Maya as much opportunity to say what she believes in as possible, and I managed to learn a lot. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn a little more about the Libertarian platform and what they're advocating bringing to Parliament. So without any further delay, here's my conversation with the independent Libertarian candidate, Maya Tesa. So thanks for joining me today, Maya. Really appreciate that you've made time for me. I know that you've obviously got a lot happening. You mentioned to me you're a business owner,
Yes.
4 kids, and you
Yes.
thought, I'm not busy enough. Let's just run for federal parliament as well. How did that kind of idea get into your head? What made you decide, actually, I'm going to have a good crack at this?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me, Jack. It's a real pleasure. The reason that I ran was I didn't have anyone to vote for. Now, anyone who knows what's happened down here in Victoria the last 3 years, it's been something of a wake-up call. And if you haven't started becoming politically active, now is the time. It's well overdue time to be politically active. I saw that my rights, my individual rights, my community's rights, my local shops were all suffering, and were the liberties that we hold so true to our heart were disappearing under a guise of fear. And I just wanted to know the truth. As you said, I'm just a mum. I'm a business owner. I've never really been politically affiliated. I've always been politically aware, but
Mm-hmm.
never affiliated. And I just went, enough's enough. I've always voted on policy. I need to know the truth.
And so you're running as an independent libertarian. Do you
Yes.
mind, just for those maybe who haven't heard of it, do the little explain like I'm five? What is libertarianism? What's the kind of general principles of this?
Yeah, no, look, the reason that I'm running as a libertarian independent is because, as I said, over the last 3 years, I became more and more politically active, and I found my home with the Liberal Democrats. So I ran in both the federal and the state election with the Liberal Democrats. I didn't want to do a Teals. The Liberal Democrats aren't registered federally because during stage 4 lockdowns, federally, Labor, Greens, and Liberals decided to vote to monopolise their name, so no other party could use it. So the Liberal Democrats were deregistered federally.
Mm.
They're a libertarian party. That's the principles and the philosophy, and I'm a proud libertarian. So that's the only way that I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it all out there, who I am. I don't want to fool the public. I want to make sure I lead by example. And I became a libertarian independent.
And so, kind of generally speaking, when we talk about libertarianism, I think like the kind of picture people have in their head is it's about lower taxes, probably guns, and let's like not fund roads or something. How, how much does that kind of I'm sure you've heard that meme like, but who will build the roads? Um, so can
Take
you
away
kind
all
of
the funding.
yeah, that's right, that's right. So when you're talking about getting into Parliament, obviously I've had a look at your policies page, things like superannuation feature on there, things like, I was actually quite interested by your environmental policy. You were kind of like, yeah, I've got solar panels, but I don't want to subsidise renewable energies.
Yes.
What are some of the key kind of policies that you're working towards here, and keeping in mind that in that libertarian lens?
Look, I think the one thing that I have this saying, and it's libertarians are like herding cats. You can never get them to agree or go into the same place at the same time, and that's been a huge issue for the movement, from what I understand. I never knew what libertarianism was, to be perfectly honest. I always lived on common sense, and that's how I sort of went. Hold on a second, this philosophy really goes hand in hand with common sense. It's what
Mm.
I've been doing my entire life. And it's the right to individual freedom. It's the right about individual responsibility, but without causing harm. And you're right. The first thing people think of is, oh, they want everything privatized. Well, there's different levels of libertarianism, like there is different levels of any ideology. And you've got the full-on anarchists that cannot stand the government, and that's it. We just want to live with our hut and our vape and our whatever and be free. And then you've got, a little bit more centrist is where I sit, where I understand because I've come from an immigrant background, I've seen poverty firsthand. I was born in Lebanon. I know that people need help. I know that the vulnerable do absolutely need help, but I believe in giving them a hand up instead of giving them a hand out.
Mm.
And that's the difference. So that's where my stance is in regards to where I sit on the libertarian scale. I see myself as that middle ground. My greatest and my biggest passion policy is education. Having had 4 kids, well, I have 4 kids. I haven't gotten rid of them somewhere yet.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, not yet. They were running after me in the rearview mirror as I drove away. I felt so sorry for them. That's a joke, people. But yeah, I love education. I love children. If my body could have handled it, I would have had a million. But education is where I see the biggest need for reform. And the reason being is because the children are our future. And we're seeing what the last, 20 years of our education system has caused in regards to kids not being able to read, not being motivated to learn, not being motivated to actually succeed. They live off their screens thinking, oh, hopefully I'll get enough likes to be a influencer. They don't, they look at people in success and go, I want a piece of that. Give it to me. Give it to me because I'm entitled to it.
Mm.
Not I want a piece of that. So how do I work hard to get there?
And
So
so
we're constantly, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
to dive into that a little deeper, so something I've heard before in kind of libertarian ideas, or however you want to describe that, is kind of the idea of like school vouchers. Is that sort of where you land on
Yes,
this sort of thing? So you're essentially funding per child. They get like a voucher they can take to the school that's worth whatever their
correct.
tuition for the year. Okay, so that's an idea I've heard of before. I wonder, how did you kind of land on that? How do you get to like, let's fund the student rather than the school? Because I can see how you can go either way on that one. If every school had enough resources, maybe we don't have these problems. So why are you focusing on funding the student rather than the school?
I think it's because I really believe in family and community values. I don't believe every child, what is that square peg in a round hole
Mm,
situation? And when you're funding a child, the school then has to live up to that expectation. It's sort of like, a consumer good. You don't go and buy what you don't need. You
mm,
go and buy exactly what's suited for you in your life at that time. And that's the same with our kids. You buy the education that suits your family values, whatever they look like. You buy the education that suits your possibly, if you're regional, agriculture, something that's focused on agriculture instead of something else, the sciences. You're getting what your child needs with that voucher system. And it can go from anywhere from a micro school to a home school to an independent school to a religious school to a progressive school. But eventually the market will turn around, and the schools will turn around and say, hey, we've only got 5 kids and we're running this program. We've got to change our curriculum to
mm,
suit what the community requires. Right now, unfortunately, the community is putting everyone in the same school and going, I need a bit more help here. I need a little bit more help there. My kid's not getting the attention. My kid's getting bullied. My kid's getting isolated. My kid doesn't fit in here. I have to move again.
mm.
And it's really, really hard. And on top of that, then you have situations that affect the housing crisis because you've got little pockets that have great schools, great government funding.
And so
And
everyone
what
wants
does
to
everyone
move there, of
do?
course. Yeah.
And the house prices are unaffordable. So you can no longer just buy the house next door and live next to your mum and look after her and visit her for a tea. No, you have to buy kilometers, an hour's drive
It's funny you
because
mentioned that. I'm
yeah,
talking with my partner now. We're kind of figuring out, all right, we're going to get into the market. What does that look like for us? We're both making decent wages, not to um, throw it out there. We're doing better than most in a lot of ways.
yeah,
And even I'm looking at houses. I'm like, how the hell? I can't afford anything. If I want to move in the kind of area I'm in now, where my community is, or the sort of social circles I move in, I'm looking probably at best at a pretty small unit that someone else built, and who knows how did that all look? So, um,
yep,
yeah, no, I very much sympathise with that. I guess housing is another big issue that everyone's kind of got on the mind at the moment. Um,
yep.
how do you go about addressing that in your policies?
Look, it's a really, really good question, and I don't think housing can be fixed with one policy. I think it's an amalgamation of many different policies. Um, I think that, we used to be, landlords. We used to have homes that we rented out, and we built that portfolio. Just so everyone knows a little bit about my history, when me and my husband first bought our first home, we were on our honeymoon, which was a weekend away at Narberthong. We got married at a friend's house. We had $18 to our name. And we were standing like on nearly on top of the roof of this little hut trying to get reception with the auctioneer. So we built ourselves up from absolutely nothing. Um, but we did have homes that we were renting out,
Mm,
and these homes were safe. These homes were functioning. But the more regulations that got put upon us but as landlords, we were, at one point we were like, we're going to have to rewire this entire home to make sure that the tenant can live in it
mm,
and meet all the regulations. It's not worth it. That's nearly a year's rent for us.
mm, mm.
So we sold our home, which made then the housing crisis get worse and worse because you don't have people who want to invest in homes anymore because they're not getting a return. And everyone goes, "Oh, don't be greedy. You're a landlord. You own a home." Well, no, I'm still paying that home off,
I
mate.
think it's one of
You
the worst ideas that's entered is the idea of like landlords hoarding houses or something. It's like
oh,
exactly as you've said. I couldn't tell you the number of places I've lived in renting where like I wish the landlord had put some money into this place. You know what I mean? It's
yep,
and it's money that I didn't have particularly at that time as a renter. Like, how was I going to ever rewire an entire house or something like
correct.
that? So, um, yeah, no, I understand that. So, when we
And
talk about
yeah, and look,
the, sorry, go ahead.
no, well, just to carry on with the housing crisis, there's a number of different factors. The school one is another one. We've been locked out of certain areas, certain
Hmm.
pockets that are not available to us anymore. The renters themselves have have lost the trust of the landlords because the government's turned around and said, "You guys can do whatever you want," and the landlords have gone, "Well, why would we invest in that?" And then we've got things like superannuation, where you can't buy a home with your own money when the prices are good.
Mm,
So what we've done is we're not even allowed people to become self-managed retirees because you're not allowed to buy a home with your superannuation. It's ridiculous. And imagine if you could. Imagine if there was enough people who had enough money to invest in the homes when young people come into the market saying, "Great, I can get cheap affordable rental because there's plenty of houses on the market."
mm.
And then they can start building their portfolio from that point on as well. So there's a lot of different factors when it comes to housing crisis. I really feel sorry for the young generation at the moment, but there are going to be solutions. It's just a step by step. It's a
Mm.
multi level approach.
I was really hoping you would just say, "Oh, we just need to do this one thing and everything will be fixed." Wouldn't that be easier?
No. No,
I
and look, I think that's the biggest problem that Australians have is that they're looking for that one solution, that one fix. It's going to be renewables that will save the world. Well, no, because you're
mm,
paying for it subsidized. Going back to the energy policy, it's going to be the landlords will attack them. Well, now you don't have people investing in buying homes,
mm.
and the housing market's collapsing. Okay, so there's never one solution, and if a government goes after popularity, they'll always offer you that one solution. They'll never offer you a plan.
So something I'm really interested in is how. So I guess you've laid out if you were running the show, this is how we would do things. We'd reduce regulations here. We'd stop subsidising this. The reality is, though, you would be an independent in a parliament with a majority of Labor at the moment, and
Yes.
Liberals will come again eventually. So, what sort of steps can you take, I guess, as that independent? How are you going to make these sort of things happen?
I think the good thing about me is that I don't want to do this. I have to do this. I say that to everyone. I was really happy with my life. I love my children. I love spending time with them. But we don't say their name three times because then they just all rock up. So I'm no, but I do. I really, I'm genuinely a grateful person, and I don't have any skin in the game. I can never form government,
Mm,
so I'm not here to attack anyone on anything outside of what I think is best for our country and for our people and for the people of Aston. So when I talk, it's coming from a place of honesty. It's coming from a place of transparency. It's not coming from a place of personal gain. And that's what's missing. Every person who goes into parliament goes in for a reason. They go there to keep their career. They go there to build their party, to get their party into government. I'm going in there to tell you the truth.
mm,
And if I can't change anything, okay, that's one thing, but I can lead by example. And if there's enough momentum of people saying, hey, we really like what she's doing and we want her to do it and we want her to keep doing it. So we're going to keep either going with the minor parties or going with independents. And we're going to understand their policy platform. Then I've already started that little bit of a political revolution and I'm achieving that goal.
And I think for me, I've already mentioned to you, so I'm a member of the Labor Party. I'm, very much Labor through and through, but I still think there's such an important place in Parliament for people like you who have views that don't align specifically with mine, first off, but also views that other people in the community do have that until now haven't been expressed, particularly in the federal Parliament.
Yep.
So it's really good to hear. I guess what I really appreciate about you is that you've gone, well, no one else is doing it, so I just have to. That's got to come from such a strange place. I guess I just can't see. I guess the people I've seen move into politics, as you've kind of mentioned, it's more like a career. It's more like a kind of social club sort of thing where you
Yep.
join the Young Liberals or you join Young Labor in uni. You go through that scene and you kind of spit out at the other side with all these kind of little resume items that everyone can look at. Oh yeah, he joined that. He did this. Um, I guess on that, and the reason they do that is because it's successful for them. How do you rate your own chance of success, if not in this election, but I guess at moving that zeitgeist you were speaking about before?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's that political ladder. Everyone wants to know someone. I find it really, really odd when I see people who say to me, "Oh my God, Maya Tesa," and I'm like, "Guys, back off! I'm a mum. I just ate Nutrigrain off the table. That was my breakfast. It was cold." Um, and I think that it's just about really being able to say maybe to the constituents out there who feel like I've had enough, then just put your hand up as well because they can't keep ignoring us forever. And it really is that they're just ignoring sensible voices. There are sensible voices out there that haven't been part of that political ladder. And it's not about who you know and what you know, it's about what you're passionate about. I'm passionate about my children. I'm passionate about making sure that everyone has the opportunity to be successful. There is no reason on earth in this country that you don't have that opportunity. I'm really passionate about our homeless and our vulnerable because I've sat with them and I continue to sit with them. And I hear their stories and it's not about money, it's about connection. And we're losing that connection within the community the more and more the government moves in. It takes away from community and it puts in place a system that is makes your life a little bit easier, but puts so much stress and anxiety on your soul because we're human beings. We crave that affection and that connection. I want to return to community. Whenever there's a major, major crisis, it's the community that steps up first, and then the government comes in later, and then everything goes to crap. Sorry, excuse my French. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, you
I
can
swear
say it.
like a
That's
sailor
right.
as well. So, um, but it's true. It's one of those things where I've looked around and gone, what is the most effective way? I raised money for the Monash Children's Hospital when it was being built, and I remembered what the government funded, and they funded a shell. That's all they do. They fund the outside to make it look pretty, but the inside comes from philanthropic. I can never say that word.
Philanthropic,
Philanthropic.
yeah.
There you go. From people who are generous who want to give.
Mm.
And instead of being forced to give, because they want to, we achieve so much. And we have to go back into a culture where you must succeed in your life, no matter what that looks like. No matter what that looks like, everyone has a place to play. Whether you're someone who collects our garbage, whether you're someone who weeds our gardens, if you're someone who teaches our children, which is the most admirable profession in the world, it's about going back and saying, "You have the right to success in your right, and whatever that looks like, and now pay it forward. Let's together build a better community."
And so I wonder, Mayor, what do you say? Someone comes up to you, they say, Mayor, I'm with you. I want a better community too. I want, everyone to succeed in their own version of their life and let them do their own thing. But, you know, superannuation has protected me, or this regulation meant that I didn't lose my leg in an accident or something. How do you respond to that sort of thing?
I say to them, that's fantastic. Okay, I completely understand that we're in a real place of comfort right now. It takes a lot to physically change out of comfort, but with comfort comes control and security. When you lose your when a government offers you security, they take away your freedom, which means you're never really safe because they can take anything away. That's all there is to it. So, if I had someone say to me, "Oh, if we didn't have government and taxes, we'd never have a hospital system. We'd never have this." I said, "Okay, but if I gave you a choice of choosing a public hospital, which I would cover completely for you, or choosing a public hospital, which one would you choose would have the better service?"
Me
And
personally, I'd
it
go
makes
private every time. Yeah.
exactly, and because they don't work on, "Oh, you're just a number." They work on the individual. You're paying your price so you get the service. And again, it's not about privatizing all the hospitals or anything like that, because heaven forbid that comes up now. She's going to get rid of the roads. We're going to be using a horse and buggy. No, no, it's not about doing that whatsoever, but it's about turning around and saying, hold on, who actually needs it? And are they actually getting it? Because when people are waiting 5 years for a dentist on a public system, when ambulance ramping means that you're sitting 8 hours with an ill child in your lap in an emergency room. When you're talking about schools that you're sending your kids to, great, they're funded, but in year 9 they can't spell or do basic maths. You sit there and go, where are my tax dollars going? 10.56 million dollars a year, a day. Is it a day or a week that we're paying interest here in Victoria now
Yeah,
on
I
a
read something out today. Yeah. Yeah.
oh my god. I cannot, like, it just, as a business owner, as a mother who runs her own budget at home, sit there and go, "Oh my goodness, I would have cut them off. I would have cut them off at the knees." But it's not their money, it's our money, and people need to start saying changing their perception. They need to start remembering that take out the word taxpayer and put in the word shareholder. You have
Mm,
bought shares in Australia. You have bought shares into Victoria. Are you happy with where your investment is? I don't think so, because you've lost money
mm.
and now you have to pay it back.
So I'll give you the last chance here, Maya. What's your elevator pitch? You've just run into someone, they don't know who you are, but they're actually lining up right now at the booth. What do you tell them?
I'm
Vote for
horrible
me.
at this, Jack. I'm horrible at this, Jack. Look, if you want an honest voice, and you want transparency, and you want to see a political change towards respect, kindness, community, putting Australians first again, putting businesses first again, all right, and treating everyone the way they're supposed to be treated, treating adults like adults, treating children like children, not the other way around, then you vote for me because I will have your back. My job is, I say to my children, my job is to protect you. I'm a hard worker, I'm a fast learner, all right, and I stick to my principles. I really don't have anything to gain here. I'm actually losing time from my family. I'm losing money because I'm not spending it on my business. I'm here because no one else is going to stand up for you, but I will.
You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Maya Tesa in the Aston electorate. When is the election? 1st of April, is that right?
April 1st. Yeah, I
April
say to everyone,
1st.
don't be a fool. Vote differently. Vote for an independent.
You should
Don't
have
be
gone with
fooled
that
by
pitch.
people.
That's a way better pitch.
Oh, apologies. Just cut the last bit out there,
Yeah.
Jack.
All right. I really appreciate your time, Mayor. Good luck on the election, and I'll stay in contact. I'm interested to see
Please
how
do.
you go here and see how things go in future too.
Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate the time.
Nah,
You've
no
been
worries at
wonderful.
all. Thanks.